I was born in Iran as an illegal refugee, even if I was born there, but I never had papers. I was never allowed to have papers, and we were not allowed to go to school, have education. The minimum facilities were not allowed for us. As children. And I grew up a lot with the lack of education, um, primary facilities, I would say, that like if you see in European countries or Western countries, they don't even question it. That's something that they should have. It's a basic necessity. Um, and it has been a lot since I grew up a lot with the replacement, rejection, shame, and especially as a woman, we are born to be silent, to be the good girls, whatever happens. And I lived half of my life in Iran. And then we moved back to Afghanistan, where I continued my higher education and started working as a journalist. There, I became a voice for women by writing their story, and kind of writing became a way of finding my own space. However, it was always their voice that I was telling inside. Still, I wasn't ready to tell my story, to be truthful to myself, and face the reality of my life. And that's why actually I chose the title of the book, "The Woman Who Refused to Be Silenced," because it's part of my life. Everything that has happened, the stories, is my life, because now I want to tell the truth. I don't want to be silenced. With silence, we just hurt ourselves, our soul.
That's true. Like how you said, uh, before you found your voice was an instrument to echo theirs, right? Until
Exactly.
you found yours. So when was the time? Was it during Taliban era in Afghanistan, or what time you felt you were working there?
It was exactly after, during the Taliban, no woman could work, be active. It was after 2023, after the first president or democracy came to Afghanistan, and then we moved back also to Afghanistan and lived there. So between 2008 to 2012, I was actively working as a journalist. I'm mainly focusing on women's rights, writing about women's rights, women's in different fields, in political, social fields, or any different career. So mainly focusing on women's to rise, women's voice. That was the time I worked as a journalist.
Mariam, do you think things were getting better before Taliban took control of Afghanistan a couple years ago?
The new Taliban, you mean the government? I would say, of course. I mean, we were part of a generation. We worked hard. We, the time I went to school, I would say the first generation after democracy came. We worked hard. People were not used to seeing women go to school, and we fought a lot to normalize that in the society. Everyone, women, girls, were just so excited to go to school. They were like felt like there was a new hope in their hearts. They wanted to um, be someone. They wanted to again be part of the society, and that freedom. Even there was not much safety, was so much restriction from the, not only from the society but even the families. They were not yet accepting women. It wasn't um, yet acceptable for them to send the girls to school. But I think our generation, we fought a lot. And for my sister and the next generation, for my sister brothers, they were so much easier for them compared to us. Um, and when the Taliban came back to the power, it was like so heartbreaking. I couldn't. I mean, every young woman, every young man who thought that it will be, um, there will be hope, there will be democracy and a life to educate themselves, to build the country. Suddenly they lost their hope after 20 years. That was like we are going back, like we are going backwards to where we were. That was so disappointing and feeling hopeless. Um, the hopelessness, I would say, that was something. It was so intensive. Like you cannot express that. They give you a hope. They give you freedom, hope to educate yourself, and suddenly you fight, you work a lot, you work hard to build it, to create it, and then suddenly again they say go back to your 20, 30 years back. Everything is like they send you back to prison. I mean, how does it feel? It feels so disappointing, so hopeless. But it's still, we are women. We have voice. If not in inside the country, we can outside the country. We have a voice. We are not going to be silent. We raise our voice for the freedom, for democracy, and for women's right, especially that women have right to educate, to go to school, to be part of the society. And until we don't have women as part of the society, there will be no peace. I hope they Taliban understand this. I don't want to go now on the to political discussion because that's not the main themes or topic of this interview. Um, but of course, women, I believe this healed women will raise other women, empower other women. We need more women. We have so many wounded women. We have so many women that they have lost their lost. And through healing, through reclaiming your voice, we can again empower each other, rise each other, and um, build a community of empowerment for each other. So yeah, there is always we continue keep fighting.
Oh, Mariam, I know this is very difficult to hear, and even people in Afghanistan are going through it. And like after giving them some hope, and then the hope has been taken away from them. I know it's very difficult. And also you said that we are women, we will never stop. We will start still keep raising our voices, because I know everybody is going through some difficulties, especially women, like more. They're trying to control women. For what reason? It's not only in Afghanistan. If you can think about other countries, people are pretty much following the same trend, like control women, control something, right? Power and
Mhm.
control. It's very difficult. And what you are talking about, at least you are giving hope to other young generation, young women coming out of Afghanistan and other places, be it Pakistan and the country we are living in. And in all places, women need to find their voice. Women need to start talking about their rights, because these privileges that we enjoy in United States, in Sweden, in UK, in Canada, they can be taken away because people every day are working to get them back. So that's
Mm,
why women need to be vigilant. Women really need to understand what they want and how they want it. They have to have clear mindset,
mm,
and they
mm.
have to have their voices.
Exactly. I agree with you completely. I think if I mainly focus on women who grew up in a culture that they have been always shamed um, by culture, by their families, um, I would say that we need more to go through the healing and reclaiming our voice and identity, um, and also not be silent, because um, we grow up in a culture to always taught us to be silent, to be a good girl. And if we raise our voice, it will be dangerous for us. It will bring shame, not only in the family, but also the society. And we have lost our peace, our soul. We are so detached with our soul that we don't know grow up, and we buried our soul, our identity so much that we don't know who we are anymore. And until we don't reclaim that, until we don't know who we are in our core, and don't be our truth true to ourselves and the person who we are, we cannot really help ourselves and anyone else. Because the wound is still there. We are always surrounded by shame, always surrounded by fear, by judgment, and we cannot grow. So I would say the first thing that we can do is by saying no and understanding it. That's why I have written this book, The Woman Who Refused to Be Silenced, so that we know that we have been in this culture, and we need to be aware of that, how it has shaped us, how it has shaped our identity, the person who have become. And then after reviewing, saying no, to reclaim our voice, to raise our voice.
I agree. At the end of the day, we have to become disagreeable. We can't agree to everything and have our voice. We have to say no and disagree to some of the norms that are set for us. Mariam, I will quote my mentor, Kasha. She, during her sessions, she speaks about how we have been conditioned for centuries to become good girls. And then she usually ends with, like, or starts with asking these questions. Tell me one good woman who changed the world. She says, you can't, because she can't. No good woman
Exactly. That's
can
so
change the
beautiful. Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
have
actually mind blowing. You cannot be good girl and also change the world. You have to be the first sometimes for the stand for the change.
That's so true. So this will take us back to how women in Afghanistan and in our culture are brought up. And do you give some of the credit of making us like with no voice, subjugating women? Do you think it goes to culture, or do you think it's more of a religion?
Oh, it's of course it's very I would say it's both. Um, and the most important thing, I mean, it's both a culture and it can be religion. um, but the most important thing that is that we get aware of that. We know that we have been conditioned by the society, but generational trauma, how our mother think the silence, to be silenced, to not talk about it is good for you because they have experienced it, and for them quietness, being silent, is the safest way. Of course, from the culture that we raise. However, it doesn't mean that it should define our future and the person we want to become. For us to reclaim our identity and our voice, we have to recondition, um, and we have to completely become a new person, a new version. Um, so I would say it is both, it can be even more. There are norms in the name of honor, in the name of culture, in the name of um, what is a good woman, what is a good girl to be in the family, um, and also religion has impact on that. How it is, how in the name of modesty, um, how we are called. The most important thing is who we are in our core. Um, is this version of me empowering me, or is this version of me disempowering me, make me feel bad about myself? Can I be myself in front of other people? When I look at in the mirror, can I love myself? Can I accept myself? Can I be truthful and still raise my voice? So these are very important. It doesn't matter. I think it's more than that. Like it can be. It doesn't matter what brought you. It matters what you choose to be from today and from the future. It can be a lot of patterns, bad things that has happened in our future, in our past life, that we don't have any control on, but we choose how we want to be from today and um, today on, and that
That's
is
true.
the most important thing.
How do you compare the women rights in where you grew up and now where you are living, like the female identity?
Mm. I think this is really important questions, and a lot of women need to know. Um, I mean, when I came to Sweden and I saw, I mean, my whole life I have lived as a refugee. I was born as a refugee in Iran with the displacement, rejection, and lack of uh, facilities, welfare. And then in Afghanistan also, I was invisible. I was an invisible woman. Started to have a voice, fight for my voice, reclaim my voice, to be a voice for other women. And when I came to Sweden, I got completely a shock when I see how the women and refugees or immigrants are treated, and what kind of welfare and facilities they are provided. It shocked me to the core, that what is really humanity when we call that, and that made me to realize that we didn't know that we it's kind of like so much discrimination, so much systematic misogyny, that you never think that this is my basic human needs until you come to a new country. Like when I came to Sweden and I saw, then I felt like it hurt me more when I saw that how much we were discriminated, like the basic going to school as a girl where you are born, and never be called, never being part of that country. Um, that hurt me more on how we call ourselves, like what we call humanity. Um, in in Iran, for example, um, I never had papers. I was never allowed to go to school. And even my parents fought a lot to pay for our private schools in Afghan schools, and still we had restriction. It was like you're not allowed to live as a human. You're not allowed to uh, have an identity. And I didn't know I didn't have any identity. I felt like it's a shame for me to be Afghan in a country that I was born, never was allowed to be part of. I mean, if you see it in Sweden and US, if you're born, then you already get the passport. You are allowed to like automatically to go to school, have the um, all the rights. But you are not part of that. Where I was born, um, I didn't have any papers. I didn't have a name, even any identity, and I grew up with those. Um, uh, how can I say? With those identities. That I am Afghan. I'm not allowed to um, have identity. I'm not allowed to um, choose my life. Um, so that is just like how the system works, how it was so much of racism in that society. Apart from what culture inside our families, how we grow up as a woman. So that was one thing. And when I came to Afghanistan, even though I'm talking now about the identity in Afghanistan, even though I had so much um, difficulty, challenges in the society, but I felt like I'm more welcome to be part of the society. Even it was so much more challenges, and even I didn't know about the culture, I didn't know about the Afghan society. I never spoke with the accent or the language. It was much easier to see in their like Afghan eyes that I was more accepted um, as an Afghan, but not of course as a woman. It had it had more challenges to be as a woman. Yeah, exactly. And then it started, started fighting for my voice as a woman to be part of the society. And especially as a journalist, um, it was so much challenging. Um, but it was also rewarding. There was a hidden hope, so much hope when you could see how people are like living with the hope for the future, with the hope for the rebuilding. So when I'm talking about their identity, is that so much is taken, so much is taken from us. We don't know that, and we are shaped by that. A lot of like our self-esteem, our confidence are gone, and we think we shape our identity by what systematically has shaped us already. And until you come to a completely different country and you have the opportunity to rediscover yourself, to find who you are, then you notice that, oh my God, I'm not at all the person. It has just been, I have been reprogrammed, reconditioned by society, by system, and now I have the opportunity to be myself, to be my own voice. It hurts a lot, but also when you start accepting that and go through the journey, then it's also rewarding when you can be yourself, when you start changing those identities that they have created for you.
You know, it's so important. A couple of the things are takeaway from what you discussed a few minutes ago. One thing is when you were in Iran, the way you are living your life there, with shame, with like name calling, and also with being bullied,
Labels.
labels, and you felt like maybe that's your norm until you are aware that that cannot be the normal and things can be better for you. You are in Afghanistan, you are accepted as an Afghan woman because then but you are not accepted, like still they will look down upon if you are a woman. And then when you came to Sweden, you felt like, oh my God, human rights can mean so much, and I can have my own voice, I can speak freely, right? And then, so this brings me back to the awareness that it is so important that women should be aware of their rights, their religious rights, and their rights as human being. Women most of the time consider themselves second citizens and second kind of level citizens, because if you do not have the awareness in within you, you cannot demand respect, you cannot demand love. So you have to be aware, and women like you are making the generation aware of their rights, because you're writing a book, you're telling them that, hey, this is where I came from and this is where I am today, this was my journey. If this is exactly like your journey, then learn from it. And if this is exactly like someone's someone you a journey of someone, then you can speak to them. It's like women need to come up and aware, make each other aware of these things. And also, like you said, healed women can heal other women. So it's very important. This reminds me of a quote. One very famous woman said that there's a special place in hell for women who do not support other women. So I
Mm,
totally live my life by that. Like, if you find a woman who is in need of your support, what support most women need is giving them some inspiration,
mm,
telling them, if I did it, you can do it. So this is
mm,
what exactly you are doing. And this also brings me back to my very important question. In the West, women take these freedom, these rights for granted. Looking back, women in United States got their rights to vote 50 plus years ago, maybe 70, 60 years ago. And 50 plus years ago, women needed their husband's or their dad's signature to apply for a credit card. So my advice to all of us women is, be vigilant and know your rights and keep fighting for them, because they can be taken away from you. You see how many
mm,
governments right now, including United States, Afghanistan already happened, they are trying to strip women of their rights, right?
mm.
Reproductive
Yeah,
rights.
I think you really highlighted an important point here. The first thing you said about healed woman, he help other woman to heal. That's really important to know, and it's true as well. When you are empowered, you are not in mindset of competition with other women. You change. You are in a mindset of abundance. You see that you want to rise together. You know that empowering other women, you can build that community, you can help other women. When you are healed, of course you can heal other women, and when you are healed, you are empowered as a person, as a woman, and then you can empower other women. A lot of women today, that they are afraid to raise their voice is because they think they are alone. And that's why I think these stories that I have written, very honest and raw, is for them, that they know that this happened. I am today this person. I have been a journalist, but I have had these dark stories in my life, and you're not alone. It shouldn't be a victim, someone like, this is me, and this has happened in my life. I have been abused. I have been chained, in the name of modesty, in the name of being a good girl, a lot of norms in the name of honor. But it doesn't mean that that person should be me. It doesn't define me. And by telling my stories, I want to tell my sisters, I wanted to tell to other women that you're not alone. You can shape, you can reshape, recreate your life based on what you want. And the first step is to say no. Say no to a lot of um, judgment, a lot of fears, say no to silence. Um, and that is the first thing that you can do. And regarding the freedom you that most of maybe Western women take it for granted, you said. I would say only the person who has been so much wounded can understand the real meaning of peace. Until you have not been in so much dark, you don't see the, you don't appreciate or you don't appreciate the light. So my message mostly is for women who have had similar stories like me, immigrant women, because the stories are for women that I have written, um, for immigrant women. You have you have come to a new country. You have opportunities. Don't stay there just because of identity they created for you, the system that they have shaped the person you have become. You have this opportunity to grow, to rise, and go through healing. And that's the most important thing, to find and feel real freedom. The freedom of your soul is the most important thing than like anything you can imagine. I was in so much pain. I thought I am free physically. I can express my feelings, but deep inside, I had still wounds that they were unhealed, and I needed to bring back those wounds, face them, accept them, and accept myself and start loving myself again. And when you do that, then you want to help other women. You completely change the meaning of sisterhood, the meaning of empowering women. Um, it has a different meaning, and you really have a call, a mission to go ahead and serve other women. At least for me, it has happened like from my personal experience.
That's lovely, beautiful. And Mariam, do you want to share any passage from your book, or just do you want to share any one particular story from your life that, in your own words, like this happened to you and you came out of it, and of course, now everybody can see who you are.
um I would say there are so many stories in my book that was so difficult for me to face them and um revisit them. But particularly, I would say the first chapter of my book, when you read it, uh, I'm intentionally, by purpose, I put it in the first chapter because that was the most traumatic um, incident of my life when I was 5 years old and I was abused. And in my whole life, I didn't want to accept that. My mind wanted to ignore that this happened. I had never the courage to tell anyone about that. And when I accept that this has happened and it's not my fault, and I I am this person. Um, I am worthy. I am enough for whatever has happened in my past doesn't define who I am and my future. And that's why I put it in the first chapter, and that became my story to show other women that okay, if this inspire you, if this it gives you also like make you emotional, and if you feel resonated with this story, it means that you are not alone in this. You are not a non-wounded person. We have been all through this. The most important thing is to have the courage to tell to tell our stories, because by sharing our stories, not only we inspire, but also it help us to our own healing journey.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And
Thank you.
Mariam, if you give 2 cents to girls, that girl who was 5 years old, and if what would you tell other girls? I mean, what is your message for the next generation?
I think I was in so much fight with that girl inside me. I was always fighting with that. I thought if I'm more successful, if I achieve that, if I achieve this, I'm going to feel better about myself. And I was fighting inside always. I was never listening to that. And the time when I started writing this book and I started real conversation with this inner child, with this old Mariam, that how much I love her, how much I accept her, and it's not her fault what it happened in her life. That moment, oh my God, it was so beautiful. Today we are so connected to to that little Mariam, to that my inner child. I would say that it has empowered me. Like it feels like when you're in peace, you can make the wise decisions. You are not afraid of saying no to the things that hurt you or doesn't feel comfortable when you're aligned with your inner child. So the most I would say the biggest reward I got from this journey for me was to be peace with this little Mariam, and she was in so much, like she was in war with me, so war with me, and it took me months. It can be very like confusing or not difficult to understand, but it took me months to make peace with this girl. But once you succeed and really are is honest with that girl, and to face her, to listen to her demands, and don't ignore her anymore, then you have become a new person who is aligned completely.
I love it how you said you just have to talk to her, sit with her, right? And it's the acceptance. And I also see a power of forgiveness. Forgive yourself that you are the victim here, and you're innocent. I mean, it's not your
Mm,
fault. Forgive yourself. And also, it goes back to forgiving the other person without telling them, forgiving the situation, forgiving the circumstances. You do that not for the circumstance or for the other person to feel good, but for you to feel good, free, and relieved from that burden, because it's only hurting us, right?
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful. And what is your message for women in Afghanistan right now?
For women in Afghanistan, I would say we I am I'm their sister, and if I cannot fight with them in the country, I am still doing my part here. I know the most important thing, at least from my experience. Even I have been a journalist. Um, I think healing is a way of empowering. And this is my call to help other women really to go through healing by telling their story, by rewriting their story. Um, and I want them, it doesn't matter where they are, even if they have more restriction and limitation, uh, but to make peace with themselves where they are. Even if you are in a country, where you don't have the basic rights as a woman. All the rights has been taken, but living with that resentment inside just breaks you and destroys you. When you are in peace with yourself, when you can make peace with yourself, you can make the right choices, wise choices on it will bring not only peace to themselves but also um, to the family, to other women, to the culture. I think this is the most important thing that for now what we can do. Um, yeah,
It's Mariam, it's very beneficial what you said, when you are in a circumstance where you are really trapped in some place and you cannot do much, and you are also you have resentment so much that is hurting you even more than the outside pressures that they're trying to put on you and hurting you. So the good thing in that situation would be make peace with your situation, make peace with yourself, have that inner peace, so then you can fight for your rights, right? Then you can have a voice, then your head is clear to make good decisions. I love
yeah. Oh, thank you. But I meant like not peace with the situation. Uh, but when you're healed, you can make right choices, wise choices on how to fight with that situation. Especially we women, we have different ways of fighting for our voice, for our identity, for to be part of the society. But yes, the part you said, making peace, inner peace, that's the most important thing, because a lot of it doesn't just come from the society. A lot of this resentment, hate, it starts with the family. It starts with the sister. It starts with the parents. And if we are not in peace with ourselves, we make hell uh, what is really happening in family. And that is also part of my story, how I was shaped by generational trauma as that little girl, that shaped my young age, and later on when I came even to Sweden. So I would say the inner peace is really important to stop that resentment, because it will just break us. Yeah.
Hey, it's beautiful. Mariam, I'm getting it. So, we are raising so many in so many places. We are raising women full of resentment for generations because moms, grandmothers are putting their resentment into the next generation, right? So there should be a time where we say, stop this resentment, have peace. So, change in a society can only happen if they start from a grassroots level, from a family level. How a mom is treating her daughter and how the dad is treating his daughter. And mom can influence the dad to treat the daughter a little differently. If the mom is healed, she can heal her daughter, and then that little girl can become a mother and heal her generation. So it next generation. So it's kind of the snowball effect. And if you start
Mm,
today, after 40 years, the generation will have a different life, right?
mm,
Instead of following the old kind of traditions that are for mothers, kind of grandmothers lived.
mm,
So it's, yeah,
exactly.
beautiful. Very good message, Mariam. I love how you summarized your book and how I love how you summarized your whole journey and the message that you have for women. That's so closer to my heart because I always speak about women empowerment. And you know um, it's also very important that we speak about, I don't want to end this before speaking about women financial empowerment. So how do you think women in that situation, per se in Afghanistan or Iran, where they're not allowed to go outside, have a job, become financially empowered?
That's, I think, a question far even ahead that we can talk.
Yes.
When you don't have, as a woman, the basic right to have a voice, to be part of the society, um, it's so difficult to talk about financially how to become independent. However, there are today ways, and I have thought about that when it comes to Afghan women and how they can financially probably support themselves. We see a lot of women in other countries, from Pakistan, from India, from Bangladesh, and even Philippines. They are so empowered women. They work as a they work virtually and as a virtual assistant, or they work with the marketing, and that's, I think, it can be a way for a woman. Like, the idea, there is always an idea, if we can have a community of empowered women where they help other women, for example, in Afghanistan, um, to teach them probably maybe virtual, to have a virtual career. That can be a way for raising their voice, for being financially supported. So I mean, like, when we are empowered, when we are healed, and when we think about other women, how we can lift other women, to not only um, um, on an educational point, but also financially, to help them to be able to provide for themselves, there can ideas comes. So I have been thinking about that. Probably, I don't know if it can be a discussion for this,
Maybe
but
we
I
can
have
make
been
it
thinking
for.
about that. What are the ways that we can support women of Afghanistan? Like, there are so many media, so many social platforms. They just ask for like donations, ask for helping, but that doesn't that doesn't help in a long term. We need to, women especially, we need to build a community. We need to empower each other in a way where we can long term help them to become independent and empowered. Um, and until we don't have more empowered and healed women, this will be always a block. This will be always, we always think that we cannot work together. Especially in when I think about like women in Afghanistan, we need this a lot. A lot of our women are wounded, and we have so much trust issues. Based on how we have been shaped from the culture, from the families, and I think we woman Afghan woman, and it can be like from when I see like even Indian women, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, that this is what I know, our culture are very similar. If we have a community where we empower each other and really think, really find ways to support each other, it is possible. And the first step is to knowing that we are wounded. We need to go through healing. We need to reclaim our voice and become that empowered person, to be able to help other women.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Mariam. It was lovely having you here.